Rowena. Hi. Nice to see you. I've got Pamela. Hi, Pamela. Everyone's popping up now. Sorry, I was a couple of minutes late. I had a technical hitch on the way up the stairs. Who else have we got there? Pamela? Anybody else at the moment? I'll start in a couple of minutes, as always. I'm just going to get my clock, it's lurking. Oops. I don't know where I am. And, we've got a few more turned up now. Hello, nice to see you all. Thank you for coming in on this afternoon. I don't know about you, but it's really windy and cold here, and it's been raining really heavily as well earlier this morning. Hello, Emily and Anita, nice to see you. And Emily again. Oh, okay. Got you. You didn't write it right. Now I understand what you're doing. And just for anyone who might be watching this for the first time, and I'm sorry if you've seen it before, but it's good for me to be able to say I'm doing these little lessons free. It's my way of saying thank you to the NHS. And today's a Thursday, so that's a particularly good day to say a little thank you to the NHS. And I think I've said before, one of my children, my daughter, is NHS, and the other day I saw her wearing all the outfit and things, which was both a proud and slightly odd moment, but it's all really good. So anyway, so these ones are just bits and pieces, almost like the old Blue Peter things or something like that, just ideas that you can run with. But I also do these art lessons where completely unique approach, 3-hour progress of a 10-year-old girl, 3 hours in perspective. Even architects have said they couldn't believe what they learned. That one's usually a walk on the beach. I've had to adapt it a bit at the moment. 3 hours on paint and colour, 5 lesson progress, 90-year-old stroke victim, 4 lesson progress, 50-year-old German lady, 3 lesson progress, 40-year-old Sri Lankan man. So, oh, is my volume down? Sorry. Oh, it is too. Thank you, Pamela. Yes, so basically there are the private lessons if anyone wants them. It's very, very quick learning, and also I back you up for free afterwards. One lady, bless her, contacted me 23 times the week after she did the lesson, just saying, is this right? How could I do this better? Whatever. And each time I explained. And I think a number of the people who are up already on the screen have done lessons in the past with me, so they know that I will support you when need be. Obviously, if I'm teaching something brand new, then I might charge you again. But generally speaking, I just want to keep you on the boil once I've given you all the core mechanics of what we're doing. Anyway, today we're doing something else completely, because I like trying to mix it up for you. So we're going to do 2 things. The first one is we're going to do, this was something I did in a school in Australia, and this was one girl's work, which I thought was beautiful. Now for you it's going to be showing up backwards, so I do apologise, but it's actually a J. And she did this beautiful J, like an illuminated letter, like the old monks used to do in the Bibles and things. In the first letter on a page was always beautifully illuminated, and it was called an illuminated letter. So they illuminated the first letter of their own name, but on top of that, they then found images that somehow depicted the letter of their name. So Emily just popped up. So Emily's obviously going to do a giant E, but then she can do all sorts of things to do with E that are things that she really likes and matter to her. So we could do a little bit of it together. And what I would suggest you do is quite a good tactic is this. It goes back to the old light box thing, or in your case probably a window, which would be, I've always thought it's really good to dabble about and get a rough idea what you want first. So don't jump straight in. So for example, with that one that you just saw, she'd got a board around it. So you might decide to put a ruler around the edge. And I'll do this in felt pen so you can see, but you could do it in pencil, because obviously you'll be that much closer. But I could put in rough lines using the ruler's width, because that's much easier than trying to measure a certain size. So you might decide, ooh, that one's gone a bit wonky, but it won't matter because of the way we're going to do this. And then you'd be doing this in pencil in your case. I'm just showing you. This is if you want a border as well, remember? You might not. And look, I missed a bit there, but we're not going to worry because this is the trial run one. And I could decide that was going to be kind of the frame for my J. Now I'm going to try and be clever and do my J backwards so it looks right for you. So I might decide to do a giant J. Hang on, let me think which way I'm going with this. Right, like this. J for Jeannie. And I've got a giant J there for you. And I might decide I like that, but let's say I didn't like that. What I could do now is I can actually, if I'm doing this in pencil, I could move this J over a bit so it was actually a bit more central. And when I was at art school many years ago, we used to use something called a layout pad to do exactly this. So there we go, I'm sort of messing with this until I like it. So if I go a bit darker, and this could be 100 pencil lines, because at this stage it honestly doesn't matter, because this is like your rough sketch. So you want it good enough, but you don't want it perfect yet, because you're deciding what perfect might be. So I'm moving the J over a bit like that, just to make it a bit more, that looks better to me because it's more central. So all the other lines of my J are still there, and I'm not going to waste time rubbing them out. I don't need to. Now, for Jeannie, I don't know, I can't think of anything to do with art beginning with J. Can any of you think of something to do with art beginning with J? I don't know. But I could do my son James, because you already know he's a juggler. So I might decide to have James, how could I make James juggling on this? Because he's J for James, isn't he? Can I do that? Let me have a quick think. So I might have, well, like the one that the girl had there, we can go back into our figure drawing and have our boiled egg, our bigger egg, and then we did sausage, baked bean, do you remember? And that will be one leg of his, and then I could have maybe the other leg coming back a bit just to make it interesting. And then he could be, actually I think he should be looking up, so I can change his head to looking up now. And then I need to have his arms wherever they're going to be to juggle. So one might be there and the other one might be here. And this isn't too great, but I can just work it out. And you'll see there's an absolute sea of lines. When you're younger, you're constantly told to rub all the lines out if they're wrong. I completely disagree with that. I don't see any need for it. You won't be drawing in felt pen, you'll be drawing in pencil. But just keep drawing on top of it till you like what you see. Let's say I like that. I'll just get him dressed because we don't want him naked. So I'll put him in some trousers and give him some folds at his knees, and I might put him in a bit of a jacket or something, as if he's on stage. And if any of you haven't seen it, I have been putting up, James in Australia has been doing something called an apple a day, where he's been bringing together entertainers worldwide who aren't working at the moment to do these promotional show things called Apple a Day. So if you search back on Art Jeanni, you'll see it, because I have put it up. And there's now another one, there's an Apple a Day too, and they're fascinating. There's like 150 different artists or more doing their different skills, magic, juggling, balancing, acrobatics, all sorts. So we've got that. And let's say, what's something else that's a J? I can't think of anything today, it's really funny. But you can go through and you could think of other things and you could have them round and about your J. You might decide to use the perspective lesson we did, where we had, and we could give the J a bit of perspective as well. And we could work back to that vanishing point, like we did with the J when I did Jeanni on that. So now I've got depth to the J, I've made it go 3D. You don't have to do that, you don't have to do anything. So please don't say I'm saying you must do anything. We might decide to have stripes in the background. in alternate colours, and obviously all of this you can do afterwards, and you could use a ruler if you needed to, or maybe you decide to do it freehand as long as you carry the lines through. So here goes my juggling J with some candy stripes for some reason I'm not too sure of. It's usually quite good if you can think of a reason you're doing it. I must admit in this case I'm just doing it because it seemed like an idea, which is also okay. So I've now got my J like that. And you might decide to make the background really pretty. You could use a ruler again. You could get something round. A toilet roll wouldn't be a very good idea, but maybe my sellotape ring would. And maybe I can put that in the corners and get myself a curve on each corner or something if I wanted to, like that. And you can just basically do what you like, but you can fiddle about on here till your heart's content. When you've done that and you've got something that you're really happy with, like on this one, she went to town on the J and she made the J curl right up, and then she put checkers on that, and she did swirls in the corner to match, and these different things. She used really nice sort of pastel-y colours. There is no rule to this. You could do the entire thing if you wanted, let's say, in black and white. And now, I hope it doesn't buzz too much for you, but I'm just now going to move you around to my light box quickly, and you'll see how this works. Now, I've got a glass table in my art room, and the reason I've got that is sometimes what I do when I'm drawing is I put a light under the table, and it's like having a light box again. So if you've got an art room, it seems a bit funny, but actually a glass table is quite useful. All right, so I'm just going to turn you around to my light box, and you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So there you go. And now, here's the drawing I just did for you. It's got millions of lines. But if I now lay this one on top, and I might choose to use a ruler to do this, but I'm just going to do it freehand really quickly. I now know exactly where everything is, and I don't have to now draw the spare bits that I don't want. I can just go straight into drawing him looking up, and I'll give him a bit of hair this time. I don't know if James is watching. He's going to be appalled if he is. He looks like this. I don't think he quite looks like this, but there you go. And then I'm going to draw his jacket on him, and have his jacket hanging down here. There's one hand, and for some reason his other arm is up in the air, and I think I've gone a bit bonkers. He'll be telling me this is a very silly position to be juggling from, which I have to admit I think it is, but there we go. And there are his juggling balls in now. Now if I give him his trousers and a few zigzags, and I know exactly where he is, and this is bringing together a couple of the lessons that we've done, and he could be wearing a tie maybe or something here. Then I can go into my J, which is in 3D, because I know where all the bits are, and if I want to be accurate I could use a ruler. I'm not bothering because I'm just showing you really quickly the idea. And obviously I'm not going to draw the line through these juggling balls. Oops, I went a bit wrong there. I'm just going to draw it where you'd actually see it, and draw the extra bit there. And then if I put the whoops, I missed that bit on the side out there. I should have got that in when I was doing it. If I then put these stripes in, I'm only going to put 2 or 3 of the stripes in just so you can get the idea. And make sure you carry them right the way through. And now, from what was quite a messy picture, oops, sorry, didn't mean to make you feel sick. Right, so from what was quite a messy picture, like that, you can see we've got into something far more accurate almost immediately. And if I still didn't like this one and it wasn't still quite right, then what I can do is take another sheet of paper and take it to the window, and I won't put you around by the light box again because I don't want it to buzz for you, but you can see I can see through already, and I could tidy it up and tighten it up, and when I'm really happy with it, then that would be when I'd bother to colour it all in. So that's one idea for today. Now, similarly, that was just doing an illuminated letter. But something else which is a bit the same, not exactly the same, but quite similar, is this, which is playing cards. Now, these are absolutely giant playing cards. And one reason I have these is that my granny, when she was getting older, was starting to get blind, but she loved to play cards. And so we had to buy her giant cards so that she could see them. So if you get in here, you get the royal family of the cards, which is what I wanted to show you, and like the king. Here's the Joker. Now this one's a bit unusual for a playing card because usually they read both ways up, which is what we're going to look at now. This one's a Jack, and you can see the pattern kind of is there, and then it turns itself on its head. And I'm sorry, because again, for you, the J's will be backwards at the moment. It's just a problem with doing FaceTime Live, so please just go with me on this. So with that one, what we could do is we could take your sheet of paper again, and basically we're going to do exactly the same as we did for the other one. We'll build it up gradually, but this time we're only going to build it up on half the page. So this is portrait, we've talked about that before. This is landscape. We go portrait, fold it in half, and this doesn't have to be a king, a queen or a jack. It's just going to be a reversed picture. So I'm only going to use half the page to begin with. I want the fold to be in what will be the middle of the card. So I'm going to use the top half, tucking the bottom half up from the bottom. And then I'm going to draw, maybe I'm going to put a frame on it again, because these quite often, these sort of things have a frame. Now remember, you'd be doing this in pencil. I'm only doing it in pen so you can see me. You wouldn't, in my case, you wouldn't really go into pen until you were on the final copy and you were absolutely sure everything's where you want it to be. Oops, so there we go. Now, I've outlined the edge of the card now. I've only done it on half of the picture. And as this is a J, it's Jeannie again, I'm going to put a J in each corner because it's mine. So I'm not really putting a J for a Jack, I'm putting J for Jeannie. And I'm going to make this playing card all about art. So I'm going to draw my two J's here. If you wanted to, I could even draw a J on a piece of paper and trace it so that each J looked exactly the same as each other one. Or maybe you're not that bothered by that. So there's my two J's. Yeah, they are reading as a J for you, that's good. And I'm going to make this picture of me, sort of, I think. So I'm going to give it my shoulders. And instead of having a spotty mug today, I've got a spotty top. So I'm going to draw some spots on my top like that. And this is a bit like our face lesson. There's my neck. And I'm going to draw my face. And I'll give myself some eyes with a nice dark bit in the middle. You want to have a little light bit in the middle just so they look like they're looking at you. And I give myself nostrils. I think I've made myself a little bit young here, but never mind. Better than being too old. And give myself my eyebrows. And which way's my hair going for you? It's going, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but anyway. So if I draw my hair coming down and round, then we've sort of got a bit of a very young looking Jeannie here. And I might decide that in my picture I'm going to have a bit of a logo of a paintbrush on one side of me, and maybe that paintbrush is even dripping little bits of paint down it, and maybe that's what's making the spots on my t-shirt. And on the other side I could have another paintbrush, or maybe I'll even have a pencil for drawing. So I've got a symbol for drawing and a symbol for painting. And we've got a sort of Jeannie playing card. Now again, I could go into all sorts of detail doing the background and patterns, and I could make very elaborate J's, or I could have traced the J and then traced it there again. Or I could have just done a giant paintbrush here. It doesn't have to be a person's head. That's what we normally get on a playing card. Now, when you're doing a playing card, this image usually reverses and it's the other way up. So what we're going to do this time is I'm going to take the new sheet of paper to put this all together, and I'm going to lay it on top of this one. And if I put it over on the light box, I think I'm going to make you buzz again. So we're going to pretend that I'm over on the light box, and I'm just drawing now in, with a ruler or without, the main lines of my picture again. And I can see through. You might not be able to see through so well at the moment, but I can see through. There goes my pencil. And here goes my paintbrush, my giant paintbrush with the drippy bits. And I'll do a little bit on there. I'm going to do my eyes here. And I can trace it really exactly. I'm going a bit rushed, but just so you get the idea. But this doesn't have to be a face, it might just be a paintbrush or something that's suitable for me. And my neck. And then we need the two J's in the corner. So I can trace around those. And I can trace around this one, but you're going to do it a bit more accurately than this. So you've got the first version of it there. Then what I'm going to do is take the one underneath and spin it round the original one, and so it's now upside down. And if I line it up, you can see it's now upside down and back to front below. So the paintbrush is over there on this one, but the paintbrush is over there on that one. And then if you hold it up to your window or your light box again, you can then trace off the other half, and you know that it will exactly match. So there goes my chin, and there's my t-shirt, and my neck, and that's my hair, and this is my hair, and I forgot to do my dots on my t-shirt. I'll have to add those in afterwards. And if I do the two eyes again, but the other way up, very soon you've turned yourself or something that matters to you into a playing card. Now here's the big paintbrush on this side. And then it's dripping, oh, I'm doing this back to front now, sorry. Then this time it's dripping the other way. And there's the giant pencil here. And I've got to get my shoulders in, I can't quite see, oh, there they are. They're there and there. And, oh, I've missed out the J's. So they're now upside down. So basically I've drawn it once and traced it twice. And that way you save yourself an awful lot of time and effort, and you end up with yourself as a playing card. And it should be that either way it's virtually the same. Sometimes if you look at playing cards, they're not exactly the same. And this one I forgot to do her eyebrows, so I better just put those in. That's a bit rubbish, but there you get the idea. And then you could colour these in, you could make patterns again, and you could really have a bit of fun fiddling around with them. So just to recap, the first one, we did it based on this, and that was the idea of just doing a single illuminated letter and decorating it, but still doing a rough version first and then tracing it off to get the final better version. And this was the very mixed up one we did, which you would have done in pencil, but when you got to like it, I then traced it off into felt pen like that, and then you got something much more accurate. So I did all the thinking on one sheet of paper and then went straight into the proper version. When we go back to the playing cards, if we look at those again for a minute, I'm going to grab a few out to show you. The trick with the playing card one was to do half of your image on the top half of the sheet of paper and get that all sorted out first, and then we took that half picture once we traced it and turned it upside down, so we actually traced it once the right way up and once the wrong way up. So once the right way up, once the wrong way up, all onto the same picture, and then colour that all in. Now if you look at the old playing cards, I always used to find the kind of design side of cards and illuminated letters really interesting. But if you look at some of these incredible patterns, you know, if you've got an old spirograph or something like that, or you could draw around teacups and things and make pretty patterns and make sure, a bit like butterflies' wings, that they're the same colour opposite each other, and they've done very stylised hair. And this one's got like a heart or a club, so in my case that might be a paintbrush, and if you're a car enthusiast, maybe it's a little car or a castle or something, whatever suits you, or a dragon, or doesn't really matter. Now the number cards are a bit boring, but if I just flick through quickly, I'll find you some other picture cards. There's a king, and you can see all the patterns on him, and the sword, and you can see how he reverses the other way. And again, this might be quite a nice idea for a card for somebody. There's a queen. So if you want to do a card, you could make this the front of the card, or just to do a picture to mount to go up on your wall. It would be rather nice. Here's a red heart, Jack, and he's got rather a splendid jacket on. We've got, what else have I got here? Let me see. There should be some diamond ones. Let's see. I've got a king of spades. It's got a different face again. Queen of spades. So these ones, they've only used yellow, black, red and blue. So that's another kind of trick, is only to use a limited palette, it's called. In most art, using a more limited palette actually works better, and it's all to do with how your brain works. When I'm teaching this way, I'm just kind of giving you ideas really. When I teach the other way, I'm always explaining why these things happen in your head and how to control them and how to make them happen more or less. So it's interesting stuff. And so basically today I could colour one of these in, but I think, to be honest, that's something you can just make your own decisions on. You could use pencil crayons, you could use felt pens. If you do use felt pens and things, one thing I would say, I will just demonstrate one thing, which is, say I use these two colours on my one, I would always say do opposites. So if I decide to colour in this J here red, then before you do anything else, colour this one in red, because if by any chance you run out of colour or something, then it's still symmetrical, or rather a reverse symmetry. And then if I did the paintbrush head here also red, then I would do this one red before I did anything else. It's a bit like the reflections lesson that I did. Always pace yourself, do it up, do it down. And also, if you do a really fancy pattern, you'll find it much easier to remember where you are if you're not trying to do everything at one go, because if you do a whole top and then try and reverse it, it'll be harder. So let's say I do the pencil crayon now green, with some green lead at the top there, then I'll do this one green before I do anything else. And if I did, say, a green polka dot on my shirt there, then I'd do a green polka dot on my shirt there, and keep bouncing across, backwards and forwards. And that way, if by any chance any of your pens run out, as soon as you saw it starting to run out, then you would use it over on the other side quickly and then finish it off some other way, because that's always a problem when I've seen children do amazing things here, or adults, and then they can't replicate it because the colours have run out. So I haven't got bright red hair, but let's say I've got red hair. If I put that side in red first, I'd probably put this side in red, then I might come over here. And that way, if that one's a bit fainter, so's that one, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so anyway, I hope that has given you some ideas. Let me hold up both of them for you. So you've got the illuminated letter, that could be a greetings card. You could make the letter somebody's name. These two round bits I probably should have done in these two corners as well, but you can see how you can make it up. Use things around the house like sellotape teacups and that to get your circles if you haven't got protractors or something else. And I think doing the ruler boundary on both of them, using the width ruler, was quite a good way of getting them to stay symmetrical. And so this one's only the letter illustrated and decorated with things to do with that letter. This one can either be very much a playing card, or it can just be a design where you keep flipping it, and instead of having the J for Jeannie or something, it could be a paintbrush in the corners that goes opposite and things, right? So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's given you some ideas. Oh, hello, Janice. And yes, if anybody does anything, I've had a few of you the last couple of days sending me pictures of what you've been doing, and they're absolutely magic, and I love seeing them, and I will put some up. I've been a little bit busy with something the last few days, and I am teaching more and more at the moment, so if you do want lessons, don't leave it too long, because I'm getting quite busy with those, the private ones. But I will get some more pictures up, and I'll give the next set of instructions tomorrow night for Saturday. So I'll be here Saturday and Sunday again. And just to close, if somebody's here that wasn't before, don't forget about, this is the private lessons. It's very, very fast learning, and it works with anybody. This is nothing to do with what you believe is latent talent. It's about giving you a toolkit. And these three, all of them, believed they couldn't possibly do it. And within a matter of somewhere between 9 and 20 hours, they're doing kind of professional standard art, which is what happens. So completely up to you. Keep in touch, and I will see you on Saturday. I hope the weather picks up for you. The sun is actually trying to shine here, so I might go out for a little walk in a minute, but there we go. Take care. Lovely to see you all. Thank you for coming along. Please like and share, and if you've enjoyed the lessons, please do put something up either on this page saying that you've enjoyed it and found it interesting, or on my Art at the Beach TripAdvisor, as that really helps me. If you want to donate anything, please donate it to the NHS, and do tell your friends about it. And there's about, I don't know what it is now, I think Michael knows, but it's something like, is it 32, 36 lessons up there floating around for free at the moment. So if you might well have missed a few, so if you want something different, just scroll back through Art Jeanni and you'll see the thing about Apple a Day from James, and you'll also see the other lessons from me, so you can just run them whenever you like. See you soon. Bye.